I never believed in ghosts. I didn't believe in any of that supernatural stuff. I'd always been the kind of person who'd brush off ghost stories with a laugh, thinking it's just your imagination or a bad prank. But that was before the night I saw her. The smiling woman. It was 3 a.m., the dead of night. I should have been asleep. I wanted to be asleep. But I was restless. The kind of restless that gnaws at you until you're wide awake, staring into the dark. My name's Daniel. And what happened that night still gives me chills to this day. I wish I could say it was all a nightmare, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But that's not the case. What I saw was real. And what I heard, I can't even put into words. You see, it started like any other quiet night. I'd finished up a late shift at the diner, grabbed a quick bite, and came home to my apartment around midnight. The city had quieted down by then. The sounds of traffic and chatter had long been replaced by the soft whispers of the wind through the trees. It was the kind of night where everything felt still, almost suffocatingly so. I live in a small apartment complex on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just a place to sleep and forget about the day. The walls are thin and the floors creak with every step. I'm used to it. Most nights, I don't even think about it. But that night, something felt off. I couldn't shake the unease in my gut, like something wasn't right. It was too quiet, too calm. I kept checking the time, thinking maybe if I fell asleep, I could shake the feeling. But as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I heard it. A soft knock at my door. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. Maybe I'd heard the wind or the creaking of the building settling. But then the knock came again, louder this time, more insistent. My heart skipped a beat. Who could be knocking at this hour? I didn't know anyone in the building well enough to expect a late-night visitor, especially not at 3 a.m. I got up feeling the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I don't know why, but I didn't immediately look through the peephole. I felt almost drawn to the door, like something was pushing me to open it, something that didn't want me to stay hidden. I grabbed the handle, hesitated for a moment, and then opened the door. There was no one there, just the empty hallway, dimly lit by a single bulb overhead. I felt a rush of relief flood through me, but then I looked down. At the bottom of the door, there was a slip of paper. I bent down to pick it up. It was a drawing, a crude, childlike sketch of a woman with an impossibly wide smile. She had hollow eyes, and her hair was drawn with long, jagged strokes, like it was tangled or unkempt. The woman in the drawing was standing under a street light, her smile the only thing visible in the dark. I shuddered, my stomach dropping. The paper had an unnatural coldness to it, as though it had been sitting outside in the freezing night air for hours. My first thought was that it was some kind of prank, maybe from one of the other tenants, but something told me it was more than that. I couldn't explain why, but I felt watched. The hairs on my arms stood up again, and I quickly slammed the door shut, locking it. I tried to brush it off. It's nothing, I told myself, just some weird prank. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was out of place. I decided to turn on the TV, hoping the noise would help calm my nerves. I flipped through channels, but nothing could distract me from the unease gnawing at me. That's when I heard it, a faint sound coming from outside. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. It was a soft scraping sound, like nails dragging against wood. It was slow at first, but it grew louder, more pronounced. I I stood up from the couch and went to the window, cautiously pulling back the curtain. And that's when I saw her. She was standing across the street, under the dim glow of a streetlight. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, but as I stared, I saw the details. A woman, maybe in her mid-40s, with long, unkempt hair. She was wearing a dark coat, her arms hanging limply by her sides, and the smile, God, the smile. It was wide, so wide it looked wrong. It stretched across her face, unnatural and grotesque. Her eyes were dark, hollow pits. She wasn't looking at anything in particular, but I could feel her eyes on me. She didn't blink. She didn't move. She just stood there, her smile never faltering. I could feel my heart racing, a cold sweat breaking out on the back of my neck. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. My eyes were locked on her, as if she had some kind of power over me. The streetlight flickered, casting long shadows across the pavement. The smile, it grew wider, impossibly wide. It was as though her face was stretching beyond what was humanly possible. I took a step back from the window, my legs trembling beneath me. What the hell was happening? I grabbed my phone, dialing 911 without thinking. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. When the dispatcher answered, I could barely find my voice. 911. What's your emergency? She asked, her voice calm and steady. There's a woman outside my house, I stammered, trying to steady my breath. She's smiling at me. I don't know who she is, but it's 3 a.m. and she's just standing there, smiling. My voice shook with fear. Please, you have to send someone. I don't know what to do. The dispatcher tried to calm me down. Sir, we're sending an officer to your location. Stay inside and lock all doors and windows. But even as she said that, I could hear it, the scraping noise. It had moved closer, the sound of nails dragging against wood, slow and deliberate. I turned toward the door, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt trapped. I couldn't breathe. Then without warning, there was another knock. Knock, knock, knock. But this time, it was louder, and then the voice. It wasn't loud, but it was unmistakable. Soft, cold, almost affectionate. Let me in? I froze, my blood running cold. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. My mind was racing, my heart hammering in my chest. The voice came again, this time closer. Let me in, Daniel. I don't know how she knew my name. I hadn't told anyone, but somehow she knew. My legs gave way and I collapsed to the floor. The smile, the voice, the scraping, it was all too much. And as the door handle began to turn, I realized it wasn't just the woman outside. It was something else, something worse, something I'd never be able to escape. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The door handle turned slowly, deliberately. I could feel the weight of each second dragging on, each click of the lock echoing in my head like a hammer pounding on an anvil. Let me in, Daniel. Her voice was calm, too familiar, like she'd known me for years, but I didn't know her. I didn't recognize her. I pushed myself to my feet, my legs shaking beneath me. I stumbled backwards, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to run. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in on me. I grabbed my phone again, hands trembling, and called 911 a second time. 911, what's your emergency, Darrell? The dispatcher's voice was the same as before, but to me, it sounded distant, far away, as though the call had been cut off from reality itself. There's something wrong, I said, gasping for air. She's outside. She's. Sir, stay calm. Help is on the way. Is she still at your door? I couldn't answer right away. The door handle was still turning, the scraping sound of nails against the wood louder now, more frantic. Something was wrong. This wasn't just some person in a costume or a prank. This was real. And whatever it was, it wanted to come in. The knocking stopped, but I could hear her just on the other side of the door, breathing, slow, steady, almost amused. Daniel. She whispered my name again, but this time it was different. It wasn't a plea or a demand. It was a command, a promise. Let me in. My heart pounded in my chest and I screamed into the phone. No, I don't know who you are. The dispatcher's voice seemed to crackle in response. Sir, listen to me. I need you to stay calm. Do you have any weapons in the house? I glanced around wildly. The apartment was small, just a couch, a coffee table, a kitchen off to the side. No weapons, no means of defense. My hand shook as I reached for the nearest thing I could grab, a kitchen knife, from the counter. I held it tightly, the cold steel a fragile comfort against the rising panic. I turned back to the door, my entire body on edge. I couldn't stop shaking. There was no escaping this. There was no place to hide. She was already inside my head. She knew me. The scratching sound returned, now mixed with the soft padding of footsteps, like something or someone was pacing back and forth just beyond the door. And then, as though on cue, the silence returned. I held my breath, straining to hear, to understand. Had she left? Had she just been toying with me? Or was she preparing for something worse? The silence stretched on, far too long. My nerves were frayed, my senses overstimulated. I wanted to peek through the peephole, but something told me, no, warned me, that I shouldn't. Whatever was out there wasn't just a person. It was something else entirely. Something wrong. Then a sound I hadn't heard before. A soft, almost imperceptible click. The door creaked. My blood ran cold. It wasn't locked anymore. I spun around, my hand clutching the knife tighter. No, I couldn't let her in. Not again. She was something out of my nightmares. The woman in the drawing. The woman with the smile.